Well, good morning. It is September 21st where I am, top of the hour at 9 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your day. Today, we're going to be covering ZENworks 2020 Asset Management. And we have Oliver Vermwald here, who's a senior consultant. We're going to talk to him in a bit. Let's just get to some housekeeping to going on here. Remember that we meet the first and third Tuesday of each month at top of the hour, 9 o'clock Mountain Time. You can subscribe to the Micro Focus Support and Training channel so you get notifications when we do go online, and you'll be prompted so you can prepare. We go online about 15 minutes prior to, so it gives you that reminder. There are some recordings out there, and the schedule is out there, so feel free to go on out to these sites to see those particular recordings. Let's do this, get it straightened up now. Okay, so you can go out there. We have ZENworks, ZENcast, Service Desk, Desktop Containers, along with a bunch of other Micro Focus support and training videos. There is a schedule out there that you could go to that gives us the upcoming schedule, what we've done in the past, so you can kind of see and maybe go back to those recordings or the upcoming schedules. So feel free to go on out there, and let's do a couple of housekeeping tips. Be sure to subscribe so you get notifications, and do make comments to the recordings if you're watching the recordings. You can direct message somebody by putting an @ in front of their name, and that way you can have a conversation with them. Good morning, Don. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Let me know if sound's an issue. I appreciate your response on that. Also, you can click the gear in the YouTube and maybe set autoplay to off and your quality to 720p 60 will give you the best quality. There is to download this presentation. You can in chat. You can grab it from chat. Let's see. Did I send that? There we go. And oh, did I lose chat? No, I don't think I lost chat. Oh, there it is. TX. There we go. You can download it there, or and when you download this presentation, or if you're watching the recording, you can download at that point. Past sessions and recordings you can find on YouTube. Again, here's our schedule. Today we're going to have asset and contract management. Next week we're going to finalize with the imaging with Moises. We're doing some ZSD leveraging dynamic forms. And then we have some desktop containers and streaming with Ron Van Herk coming up in November. So stay tuned for those. Thanks, Don, for that confirmation. Customer portal. Logins. If you're still having issues, here's some emails for discrepancies, some resources to get you around. We want to make sure that you're able to get in, get your licenses, get your downloads before you actually doing upgrades and stuff so that you don't run into that midnight hour when you're doing an upgrade and something's not working for you. What's new? ZCM 2020 Update 2 and ZRS 7.8 is out. There's a TID out there, 7025124 or 142, and the README. And then there's ZSD has security updates that were released, as well as MFDC 21.7 was released, which has a Filer 4.3 integration as a T drive. So that really has a nice integration in it, and we're enhancing that right now. It's My Files. Next will be the network shares and so forth. TTP conference is coming up. It's going to be once a week, every Wednesday from October 6th to December 1st. And there'll be sessions throughout that Wednesday. It's the Asia Pacific, and this seemed to work best for their schedule. So you could go out to www.thettp.org to register for that particular conference. Let's do a little recap. ZCM 2020, the power of dashboards, was happening last week. We had Vikram and Darren on, both product managers. They showed us some things about dashboards and display, harvesting active information when you're actually doing deployments and stuff and monitoring and watching those things. Filtering and drill down capabilities, community requests. They showed us a lot of different details about how you can actually take advantage of your dashboards on a daily basis and really see what's going on in your environment. So we appreciate them for being here. Um, today we have on today's agenda we have ZCM Asset Management, and we have Oliver Vormwald, and he's a senior solutions consultant. We're going to go through an introduction, inventory management, ZENworks asset management, contracts, tips and tricks. He has a bunch of stuff for us. So Oliver, are you there? See if Oliver's on.
Hey,
There he is.
yes, I'm.
How are you today?
So, oh, I'm fine. Thanks, Paul. So
Thank you so
great to be
much.
here and to speak a bit about ZENworks asset management.
We're happy that you're here. We're glad that you're able to take the time out of your day because you're across the pond, right? So it's a little later for you in the day, finishing up your day. But I appreciate you being here, and I know the community appreciates you being here. I'm going to go ahead and share your screen, and we can get started.
Okay, great.
Again, if there's any questions you have for Oliver, please put them in chat. We'd be happy to try and answer those while we're on. Also, if you're watching the recording, feel free to go ahead and um, put it in the comments, and we'll get back to you. So, Oliver, we thank you, and show us what you got.
Okay, so are you able to see my screen?
I do have your
Yes.
screen. Yep.
Perfect. So, well, then let's take the time and start with asset management. So it will, I think, yeah, you introduced a lot of the things that we will talk about today. And as you said, Paul, we will start with the simple stuff of asset management because, as you know, every ZENworks product owns the inventory product as a part, as a minimum part, because every workstation that is connecting to ZENworks that got an registration rules, it needs the inventory client installed on the machine. And if you stripe down the inventory or the ZENworks agent on every ZENworks product, at least you would say the inventory client. And that's the same when you use asset management. I think you know that asset management is also available as a product itself, so it does not require configuration management, but it uses the same backend. And that's why we need to talk about inventory management first before we come to asset management, because the inventory is the base for asset management. So, and what you always got with the inventory management are three parts that we are covering there. So we have the inside the asset inventory, that's how we call it, the space product. We have a hardware and software inventory. And there's additional, maybe you saw that when you look into ZCC, you see that discovering of devices. There you can do IP discovery, and that's the part where we have that network scan, and we can also use that for inventory and for reporting. And as I said, it's always a part of any of our products like asset, patch, endpoint, or full disk. So um, asset inventory and is based and all the detection of hard and software is based on our inventory fingerprints. That's a product recognition update, also called. So you know maybe that in the system configuration, we have that part where we can download the system updates, and the fingerprints or the product recognition updates are part of that system updates. And in some of the earlier releases, we automated the download of fingerprints and the deletion of older fingerprints in ZENworks. And the product recognition update, it was rebuilt in 27. It's something of intellectual property that we got along with the requirement of Tele in early 20. And in that collector, or in this fingerprint files, there are numerous information inside that is used for discovering hardware and software from the devices. So it includes the harmonizing of manufacturer. It's using, or it's including the information about common hardware manufacturers, which models they have. We also then give you the possibility to make a filtering out of those hard and software, and similar to the hardware that we detect in there, the same is for software. So the fingerprints are monthly updated, and we have no real number, but we talk about there are more than 80,000 products in our fingerprint, where are multiple versions and models of the hardware and software from different vendors. So with ZENworks 10, we also, or with Windows 10, we also, and 8, we also started to include Metro apps. I think they are not so important currently. And what's a bit more important, and also then something that we will use for asset management, is the detection of suite, because that can at a level of understanding your software inventory, can be interesting to say what kind of suite makes sense to buy, and maybe is there a possibility that I've bought a too expensive suite, so the differentiation between a professional and a standard version of a suite. So that's also a part that we are covering in our inventory fingerprint. Then, consider a relationship between components and different applications. So we dig into hardware, into CPUs with our fingerprints, and the detection of suite would also help you the decouplation of what is in the Office, Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, how many of those components are there. And the fingerprints are not only used with our full agent, we have a smaller way of also collect data. This is called a portable collector, and we will have a look into how the portable collector works. The portable collector is something that we need to know. The informations that we are import to the portable collector, these informations are only available to ZENworks configuration management. So if we are collecting data of machines through the portable collector, they won't show up for asset management. So if you want to use asset management and you want to collect data from machines and you want to reuse them for asset management, the portable collector won't fit for you. So then you need to update all the machines with a portable collector to a full agent. And then you also get the information that you need for asset management. But speaking about the portable collector makes sense. So that's why we'll take 5 minutes about. So something which is important on the fingerprint is, I said, there's There's some guys in our organization that are regularly updating fingerprints. And years ago, customer also asked us, well, Microsoft offers more ways to see what's installed on a machine. And if the fingerprint always um, need information about a file, an exe, for example, or information which comes with an exe, maybe a text file or a registry information to detect an application. So we need to know in our fingerprint that Adobe Reader is a software that we collect. But maybe there are software out there which aren't so important to the common community. So specialized programs for communities, or maybe also a self-installed or self-created application. And normally in Windows, those applications shows up in add remove programs. And add remove programs, that's something that you will see often in ZENworks configuration management, also in the short name of ARP. And there's a third method called MSI, where we can detect applications installed on a machine, in that case on a Windows machine. So fingerprint and add remove programs, these are the default values that when you configure a ZENworks system, that are always collected by ZENworks and which are then added to the database, and also which shows up at a workstation when you check the inventory of the workstation. If you want to collect MSI information, then you need actively configure the configuration for ZENworks. And that's something what you are doing in the configuration, which informations you want to collect. And the configuration of inventory here's the point where you configure which informations should be collected. So, and the common way is that we collect software applications. That means fingerprinted software and add remove program software. Then the standard configuration is we collect hardware. If we use a collection data form, we speak later about that, then we haven't that configured. And you see, if you want to configure and you want to collect MSI information, then you need to add that here and to accept it. But for me, I wouldn't recommend it to do. So it depends on your data. So it's always something you need to check. Because if you get more data, you get more informations, maybe you have more informations to filter out. So you need to think about what you want and what you aren't wanting. So that's why ZENworks aren't or haven't it configured normally. So you see on the configuration that I have also this MSI configuration in. So because we have some intelligence inside our recognition process. So normally we collect the data by the fingerprint. And if we find similar data, we try to map that fingerprinted data with the add remove programs and the MSI. So that's our reconciliation process. It's a really complex algorithm, but which isn't always working. So, and that means that, and we will also do that later, if we go deeper into asset management, that's something that you need to do, that you check regularly your inventory you discovered asset management product, and you check if there were some reconciliation errors, and maybe that you need to clear them out to get only one product in there. Yeah? Okay.
So it's not a once and done. You want to monitor this and tweak it so you're not getting too much information, but just everything that you need, right?
Yeah.
Great.
So normally I think when you're only doing inventory, that process isn't so important, the reconciliation, because you see here, why do I have three lines here, columns here from that product? It means when I install Adobe Acrobat Reader, I've got the 64-bit version of it, and I got also the 32-bit version installed on it. So the 64-bit installation detects or installs both versions. And while we are so accurate with our inventory, we create an inventory record out of them and add it to the inventory, because inventory needs to be accurate. And because we find that additional removed programs, in that case, because there are two columns there or two detected versions there, it's not reconciling it to the other two, because maybe he does not know why. Don't know. And I think for inventory, it's not so important because it's good to have that information. But for asset management, if you only want to have one license record that you want to monitor, and you in asset management, you only want to have one license record that you match to your purchase records. So, and that's why you need to understand how the inventory is working, and that as a license manager or as an administrator, you need also to have a look if you take a new application into your company and you want to use it in license management, so that you get the correct information out.
That makes sense. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I spoke about the portal collector, something that isn't relevant when we do asset management, but the portal collector, it's worth to have 5 minutes spoke about him. So what you need to, the portal collector is something that you configure also through ZCC. And you need, if you want to collect data through the portable collector, you need to create a portable collector for every workstation that you want to import. You can then, the portable collector is a zip file that you uncompress, and you can put it on, for example, on a USB drive, and you would use that USB drive to hand out to the user that hasn't an ZENworks agent installed, but you want to get information from that system. Nowadays, I think all your managed devices would have a full agent installed because you want to manage the machine. But if there are machines in industrial environments where the installation possibilities of a full ZENworks agent isn't needed, but you want to have the full overview over your inventory, then that's the point where you can take your the portable collector into, so, and collect information then. And it also could help if you work together with ZENworks configuration management, ZENworks service desk, to get those devices that are in your complete environment, if you want to also create incident on those devices and you want to know which inventory, which hard and software is installed, and then the portable collector is a perfect way to get information out of them. Yeah, but then you need to create for every machine a portable collector, and you run an exe on the Zen collector exe on the machine you want to inventory, and then you get a collection file with an XML file that you import into ZENworks configuration management, and with that WIF file back to the console, you have those in CCC here, you have devices, and you have here the inventoried configuration there. And here you got under device task the possibility to import inventory and to import that WIF files. And those WIF files would then create a workstation object, but with lesser information than a full managed machine. And those machines then would also show hard and software and informations about what's being inventoried. You even can use that portable collector, and in that case, it's not called portable collector. There's an inventory only agent that you can download from the ZENworks download pages. And this ZENworks inventory only agent is from the results similar to what the portable collector does. It's not a full-blown agent. It's a small version of the Linux agent, and it is a service on Windows, and it's perfect for machines that need no full managed, but that also need to be integrated in your ZENworks environment. Also, the inventory only agents aren't used in asset management, so they are only valid in the configuration or in the inventory stuff. But if you want to have them on Windows servers, that where the administrator don't want to have other agents installed, and you want, as a ZENworks administrator, also the information about that machine, then it is worth to install the Linux or the Windows agent as a service, and then you can collect data from that machines. And you can also create reports out of that. There's even a possibility to install the Linux inventory only agent on our appliances, like the Filer appliance, the ZENworks reporting server appliance, or service desk appliances. But that's a not supported thing, while it's only published by community. But if you work together, if you are working together with Service Desk, it might make sense also to include that information into ZENworks and then also to pass it over to Service Desk, because then you have actual informations in your Service Desk. The difference between the portable collector or the portable collector and the inventory agents is the point that the portable collector is normally run once, and then you have to go again to the machine and run it manually. The inventory only agents, they own a scheduler, so they can run constantly. You can't push them for an inventory, but because they are sending regularly the inventory, and you also configure them here under inventory, then you have the possibility to get information also in a relative actual time into ZENworks configuration management. Okay, there's an article I wrote about it, and you can see it on the community site, yeah, if you are interested. And Paul has a PDF from the presentation that he will publish later on. Then you can also see there's also the link URL to that article.
Yeah, we'll post the PDF for the audience. We'll post the PDF link in the comments of this recording, so you'll have it right after this meeting. Thank you.
So then we're still with inventory. It always takes too much time, I think. But also important to know. So there's software that we aren't detecting, and we discussed about it's maybe a software which isn't detected by MSI, which isn't detected by ad-removed programs, which isn't detected by our fingerprints because it's a self-made application, or it's software. It's often happen to governmental customers that has no good installation information, but you want to get it show up in your inventory. And then we have the possibility to fingerprint a machine. And I would only fingerprint a machine. So we call it collect software file information. So then our fingerprint does goes through the whole machine, trying to find every exe installed on the machine. And you can also add additional file types for recognition there. And this is collecting a numerous number of files which would be added to the database. And therefore, I don't recommend it to do it on your whole system. Go to a machine, install the software that you want to add to your environment on that machine, and then only scan that machine with a file scan. Again, that's something what you configure here in the configuration of the inventory, where you take the scan now possibility to say, okay, when I'm now doing a scan now, means you go to a workstation, for example, where you know you have installed the application, and you click on that workstation, you go to settings, and in the inventory there, you now override the current setting, and you add the collect software file information. You accept it for the machine, and then you run a scan now on the machine, or you go here and do a quick task where you do the inventory scan, and then on that machine an inventory would be taken. And there's something here in asset inventory, which is called the local software product. And here in the local software product, you can now create software files from that imported machine. When you run a report, you see I recently done that here with my machine, with the DLU machine, and I was looking for the enterprise imaging EXE, and I added that enterprise imaging action here in my configuration. I named it, I configured it, and when you configured this file, then you can merge it with your current PRU that was downloaded by system update. It will be merged with the PRU, and it will be synchronized with the next scan to your workstation, and it will be then included in your workstation inventory, and you would see then in your hardware inventory that application as a normal you see here in Microsoft Focus Germany, then you would also see that file here show up as an identified and fingerprinted software. So I took here as better description only other software. You can also put them to, if you want to another subcategory or subcategory, if your filtering is different. But that's also a good addition, which is possible with software. Never mind if you have a software which you think that is interested for everyone out there in our community. Then send that application to us. So do a fingerprint with the SWID application. And normally around now, so between the 20s and 26, our engineers are adding the fingerprints to our PRU. And currently, for example, we are adding Microsoft SQL Servers, enterprise standards in the different versions into our fingerprint, so that with the October fingerprint, hopefully we will be able to get correct information about which version of Microsoft SQL Server 2016 Service Pack 1 to standard enterprise installed on your machine. So, and in the end, there are a lot of reports out there in ZENworks that you can use for inventory. That's here the point where you go to reports, and in the reports, you can now have through the categorization by manufacturer category, you can now get your own information about, and that's very informative because you see every minor version of every version of Adobe Acrobat that is installed. Yeah. Okay. Accurate. Deeply accurate, I would say. Good.
That's excellent. Yeah, so we can actually we can tailor it to how we want. And like you said, even if it's a new product that you're putting out, you can send it off to Micro Focus and they can make a fingerprint for it and continue on. So there's all sorts of ways it looks like we can grab that information.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to do it. So it's part of what our fingerprint professional engineers should have as a part of their work. Something which is also part of inventory and is also very important for asset management is demographic data. So, and demographic data is well configured through the inventory. Why do we need demographic data? So the point is, if you imagine you have installed Microsoft Office in one of your departments and you don't want to assign every machine a license, but the license that you bought for a department should be used for one of the machines which has the software they installed, then demographic comes into the game. and it makes it easier to play around with your licenses and it gives you more possibilities to get rid of under licensed informations. So what does it mean? So in asset inventory, we can import data from directories. And I would assume that every or mostly every ZENworks customer has a connection to eDirectory or Active Directory. And if you work properly with your directory, then you can take that data out of directory and you can connect that data into your inventory. When ZENworks inventories a workstation, it looks, for example, logged in user. And after a user logged in several times into a workstation, this user is also named as a primary user. But ZENworks has no information about departments, normally about the departments. Well, you can enter that data as a part of the registration process. But what's about location, what's about telephone numbers, email addresses, and so on and so on. So, and that information can be collected through the demographic process. And in that demographic, you need to map key information like the username to ZENworks, and then you can add the other informations to that configuration. And after a scan or a collect or collecting of that information, this data from Active Directory or eDirectory would show up in the inventory of a user or of a workstation. Yeah, and this is very simple to do, while this is also a configuration that you do here in the asset inventory. So normally there's an inventory task which would fetch the pre-configured LDAP source. In my configuration, I did it. So my Active Directory and my eDirectory are part of here. And if you check those information, so I have here the mapping between the user and several informations from the Active Directory that I collect from here. And you see for example, the building in ZENworks is connected to the street address. The login name from ZENworks is matched to the computer cell account name. So, and then the department contact is matched to the other informations. And if we go into an inventory workstation, so then we see that data also showing up here. And those email addresses are later also used in asset management, maybe to inform users about notifications when contracts need to be extended. And those information here, like department, are used for the demographic for asset management. There's a second way. We can also collect user data, for example, through the collection data form. And this information would then also show up in inventory and could be used for demographics, for asset management. But you should if you use the collection data form, you should always use the automated way to collect data, because if your user don't want to enter data here, or if he collects data or he edits and saves data which isn't relevant, you have problems to clear it out. And therefore, shit in, shit out is there something the license manager told me years ago. You should go for their own automatic procedure. Take information data, for example, from the registry for environment variables. Windows is giving you user information and so on, and try to collect those data so that you are prepared when you start with ZENworks Asset Management, that you have all the relevant data that you need to get the correct result.
That's that's absolutely correct. Getting that automated data is so important. One thing that we did at my former employers, we used this as a physical inventory form, so we could get the monitor and the monitor serial number, which obviously had to be hand entered, but at least we knew we touched that machine through the physical inventory as we went around to do the yearly physical. So yeah, it's the data collection form is fantastic.
Yes, it's very powerful and gives you a lot of information. So therefore, take advantage of it. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Okay, so we finished with asset inventory. And now we're moving to software license management or asset management. So um, in the end, we need to say that asset management is a software license management tool. And the possibilities that ZENworks Asset Management gives you is in the summary here, the information about software being used on your machine. So how long was it used? Something I think in Anglo-American countries is more common. Here in Germany, where governments have very strict laws about data being collected from users. So mostly my customers aren't using here in the German-speaking region, aren't using software usage because it needs a lot of paperwork to be exempted inside companies. So here in our region, it would also require a workers' council to accept those functionalities to be accepted. That's why when we look into asset management today, you won't see any information about software usage. Then the second big part is license management. And the third part is contract management that we will speak about. And these editions are only available with asset management, or if you are owner of the suite, you are able also to use asset management because it's a part of the suite. Yes? Okay. So every customer who has only configuration management, patch, endpoint, or full disk, he needs now to get a new license or get the licenses for asset management. You can also test it for 60 days, or you can activate it in ZENworks CCC if you are interested to use it for your company. The best input, or if you start with asset management, then you would see a dashboard. And my proposal is, if you haven't done anything with asset management, try to start with license with a dashboard. But if you get more used to it, then use the approach through license management breadcrumb. It makes it easier and more powerful there. to work with asset management. But the dashboard and the starting points to license product to create your first license product, it's a good start for ZENworks. So as you can see here in the dashboard, that would be also my actual screen. You see everything about under license, over license, or compliant products. So in my case, so I have two records of compliant products, Windows Enterprise editions, and the Active Database software group-wise, and the other stuff is over or under license. And for a correct licensing or for a compliant product, there's something to do there. But before we do that, we have a deeper look into what software usage can do for us. So software usage, as I said, is normally, I think it's normally activated, and you need to deactivate it. From the asset management approach, software usage is important because it saves money. Software is similar to the motor of a car. So if it's bigger, you are more valued. And you are also a cooler guy in your company if you haven't only Office Professional, if you got a license of Visio or Project, you are the best man. And if you are working through different departments, it could be possible that you collect your applications and that you collect the licenses, because at a specific department you would have needed Visio, but while you move to another department, it's not even used there. Then you could give that license to another person. So if you haven't activated things like if an application isn't deinstalled when deassigned from a workstation, then it could make sense to have software usage activated, while software usage is also has time configurations there, so you could collect or you can create reports for software usage about 60 days, 90 days, your complete time to collect the data. And out of that time reports, you could then decide, well, there's a person in my company that has installed Visio, but he hasn't used it for half a year. So then I can deinstall the Visio application, and after 60 days, depending on the license of that manufacturer, then I could reuse that license for another machine. Then I don't need to buy a new license, and then I'm saving money for the company. That's at the point where software usage makes totally sense, and it's good to have it inside. Yeah. Unfortunately, in Germany, it's a lot of discussion about it. But if you look in the past, what Forresters or Gartner said in combination to asset management, where you are saving money is through software usage. So, and software usage is something that is normally working or for workstations. It's working on Citrix server and terminal server. We can connect it through websites, and even we also activated it for ZENworks desktop application container application, so that you are able to measure it also for users that may not have the full installed version from ZENworks, but are using desktop containers while they are working from the home office and would also consume a license from your company. So in the past, we called it 360-degree view of tracking the software, because the way how it works is the inventory data, for example, from a workstation, the XE, which is running on the machine, is recognized by an API, and we are in the backend when the application is started or when the application is lying in the back. We are collecting the number of the time the application is active, writing it back to ZENworks, and then we can create reports out of that, or we can still use it with um, the license data. You don't need to do anything if you have a standard installation of ZENworks and a standard installation of asset management. It would collect it in the background, and you need to deactivate it. And then there are reports, like we have seen for ZENworks inventory. We have standard reports out there that are able to create reports from everything, means from data being collected from the workstation, from network drives, from Citrix servers. And what you can see here, you can change or you can export the data in various formats. You can create diagrams, or you can change the date time from the information that you want to report. So means that we now go here to the asset management informations, and here we have the breadcrumbs about software usage, license management, contract and documents, and I was talking about here. So the software usage. So there are different standard reports out there that are there and that you can use by getting your information. In that case, if you want to see the usage from all devices, this is, for example, one of that reports. And you can't see anything here because this is a machine also that is here located in Germany. And there are configurations out there for asset management. You see, you have your usage monitoring. It is disabled for me because I'm working in Germany, and there are rights out there who can see things or not. I disabled also the usage on every license managed page. That's why the reporting here haven't shown any informations, and I haven't collected information. That's why I have that screen here for you in the documentation. That isn't a bug in our software. It's by default that I haven't anything there while I'm working in out of the DACH region, and my customers aren't allowed to use it there and to see it there. So,
Yeah, this part
but
this part is really powerful too, because I know we had a design division that had AutoCAD, which was $10,000 a license. And so we did an investigation on how many were actually using it through the usage monitor or software usage, and we found out that we could save 3 licenses, which is $30,000. And we didn't renew 10, we renewed 7 next time. So, yeah, this is a powerful part of the product.
yeah, and underdetermined here in our region, or that's a problem about security, because um, it's that you are watching your employee and it isn't allowed in companies. You need to have an arrangement. And because I do normally my presentations here, I can't show it because every person would show up here and say, that's not possible as an administrator. I can't collect that data here and so. But it's worth to use it when you can, because it saves a lot of money for you. Yeah,
Certainly, yeah,
powerful.
and do make sure you look at your, what's the legality behind it. So that's great.
Yeah, but still I got that. picture here. So, demo and environments don't have really good data. So you as a customer need to activate it in your second demo environment, which you had used or from where, or the copy of your active of your productive system that you're using in your test laboratory. And then you should start digging that information and see how powerful ZENworks could be here with the software usage.
Makes complete sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then the second part of asset management. So now we're talking about um, license management. So I think that's the reason why we're here today. How is ZENworks asset management working, and how can I capture my licenses, and how can I get reports if I'm well done, correct license in my company or over or under license. And nobody wants to be under license because it can give a lot of problems to your company, and it's always better to go into a discussion with a software vendor when you know about your environment. So, and there's a point where ZENworks can help, because we have, through the software inventory, we have the capture of licenses as a part, a standard functionality of ZENworks. And we will talk about about that summary here, how we will use, how we create the views, how we enter purchase information into ZENworks. Okay, first, when we want to do software asset management, we need to know about what we own as a company. So we need to add purchase data in ZENworks configuration management. And there are several ways to get data into ZENworks asset management. One is the manual input of data. And in the manual input, that's ZENworks configuration management console that gives you the possibility to manually enter the information. So that's what the guy from your sales, from your from your it's not from your purchasing department would enter here. So if he wants to enter it manually, so that's the one way. The second way is to, and that's also a point when you have data in your company collected from the past, for example, through Excel files. So I had in the past a lot of customers where the compliance manager hadn't a tool to manage its software, the software license management, but he had Excel. And when the purchase department bought a new application, they import the software asset management manager, and he added then the information in his Excel. And when you want to transfer this information to ZENworks, then we could take that CSV, or this Excel data, transform it in CSV information that ZENworks is understanding, and then we can use it as the starting point for our asset management. Because it's always good to know which amount of license you own. Yeah? If not, if you have found one of your resellers that is here in our list, like Compucom, Insight, KMD, SHI, Soft Choice is thinking more vendor distributor. This is located in the DACH region. So then you can also ask your vendor if he's able to provide a CSV. And then you must convert the CSV to a schema that ZENworks asset management is able to understand. And in that case, you can see here, this is CSV in Excel. So we need to know the manual data, what you see before, that manual data form. And you can enter it in that form here. For example, it's the delineation is by tabs here. You need to add, or you can add the PO, the order date, the invoice number. I wasn't good with Excel. Your reseller name, and so on and so on. Or this is a flat view of that file, for example, from Adobe Reader or Adobe Standard. These are the fields from asset management that we can that are part of the product, and then you fill that informations out there into up to the point that you are able to include there the purchases record, and then you can import them into ZENworks. When you create purchase detail and you create the purchase record, you need to know that when you enter here everything correctly, like cost center, that is good. When we're going here, or when we're coming down to the prices, the MSRP and the unit price, these are single unit prices. So this is a suggested price, and this is the actual price. Therefore, this is a little bit more expensive than the unit price. But the extended price isn't per unit. It is the total price, so the multiplied price. So if you are, like in this example, if you are bought 5 licenses of Microsoft Professional, for example, and if the price isn't the correct one, sorry about, I just took some prices. I hope they resemble prices. I don't know about prices from market. So on what you can see here, the unit price is 120. The MSRP price is 120 euro, dollars, and the unit price is 110. And therefore, the extended price is 550. So we don't multiply ourselves, because there are often situations where you have that discussion that you're not buying only 10 licenses, you are buying 1,000 licenses of the product, and then you get a special discount for those price, which is lesser than the unit price, the actual unit price. And then you would use it there, and in the parts of our product where we use that pricing for finding out how many did we pay for a product per department, we are then dividing that extended price for the software through the departments which we entered here. Yeah, okay. That's about a purchase. So then also some insights about, we spoke about the PRU when we started today. And the PRU doesn't only include informations for the asset inventory. The PRU also includes informations about asset management, and you can the information that is inside the PRU, for example, maintains data about historical manufacturers who had been bought by other companies. For example, nowadays, Micro Focus bought Attachmate, bought Novell. So, but the old product was maybe a Novell product, or if you go for Lotus and IBM, they also sold it to a company, I forgot the name. Then that's part of our knowledge database, yeah, that we have in there. And it also, the knowledge base also acts as a filter. So it acts as a filter for the accurate data that we have collected for the inventory. But that is not now important for asset management, because we only want to know about the Acrobat standard 21. The minor release is unimportant for me. I want to create my license record based on the 21 version or on Office 2019. Yeah? Then there is an exclusion of relevant application in there, but don't see it too deep, or that's the wrong information. So a better explanation is when we going back to the point that we talked about our fingerprint is categorizing and subcategorizing products from a vendor. And it knows about a vendor and the software that is installed on a machine. But then comes add remove programs into the play. Add remove programs takes this information from add remove programs from the Windows machine. And if the media player shows up there as a standard application on the machine, then it's also being collected and then shows up later in our, we call it in ZENworks asset management, in our discovered products. Then you also need to deactivate them, because the product recognition update would help for doing so. But because you want to have more information, and you are using RLP, which is a standard collection method of ZENworks, then you are getting this information additionally back again. And more information if you also activate MSI. Where the knowledge base also help is in that service pack releases versions. So we also adding the service releases to the major release, so that we only have the record about the major release in asset management itself being shown. Okay. Next. Yeah, the advanced metadata base, knowledge base, I spoke about that. Today's manufacturer, Macromedia, about that. These are filters, and we can filter from that information in our reporting or also in CCC. The metadata also includes information about commercial software, open source freeware that would also be used for filtering to minimize the number of records that shows up. And we have an information about the distribution model there, if it's a commercial or others. Then we collect, we have information about the product variants. If it's a full version, it's an evaluation version or OEM version. So an evaluation version shouldn't show up. OEM version will show up and will map with the OEM license. That's things that are part of the knowledge base. ZENworks is a product which is flexible. That means that you need to know, and you have to do something, and you need to you do something in ZENworks. When we create license records, there is our approach of an entitlement that is used per licensed product. And that licensed product can be used relatively easy in an easy licensed product to say, like I have it, for example, here for the VMware tools. I have an entitlement here that has one software there as a discovered version. Then it's very easy with that to work around. But if you are going to maybe to do an update of an full license, then you want to have or you want to include in your inheritance of the license record that you had bought in the past full licenses, and that for the update of that software, the price is lower while you are doing an upgrade. And this upgrade is minimizing the number of licenses that you can use with a previous version, while that version is now used with your current version. And then you come to a second entitlement, which is in your licensed product. And then we're speaking about multiple products. Yeah, that's why we have not only one entitlement that is possible for a license record. That's why we have multiple possibilities here. And it's up to you how you would work on it. We will see different approaches later. Periods, temporary, perpetual, so I think it stands for it itself. Then we have the assignments of license per machine or demographics. That's where we talked before about. If you fix a version to a machine, AutoCAD was very popular in the past for that, for example. Then you had also a hardware device that only that software is allowed to start on that machine. That is possible to assign with ZENworks. But if you have applications that works for not in that drastic way, then we can use the demographics to say we have bought an amount of 10 for a cost center, for a department, and these are then the assignments for that. You're always having the possibility to adjust to ignore installations. And if you haven't any purchase records, or if you don't want to enter all historic purchase imports, you can say, well, I'm adding bulk license purchases. There's information in Rec 2020, Department 150 on Main Street in Ohio. And in the Rec number 12, you can see the original license purchases of my office there. Then you can do it here relatively easily through a bulk license, while you're only adding the amount and the costs of that license purchase in the past. And then for a better filtering and reporting, we can later set standards for our software, and we can break suites. A part of ZENworks and of the recognition update is a point where we detect that Office Professionals is or would include PowerPoint, Office, Access, and all that stuff. And maybe there's a smaller variant of that where Access isn't needed, but you used the professional version to install it, and ZENworks then would detect it's a professional version, but you have a special contract with Microsoft that allows you to install standard Office with professional. Then you could take software collections to break this professional there and to only write it out as a standard suite of Office. License models. Okay, we have this license models which are automatic, and these one which are manually maintained. Asset management for those manually resources. Asset management can't collect CPU licenses or can't collect CPU licenses from Oracle and the very hard license models. But nobody says that you need to enter them through an automated process. You can go into your ZENworks asset management and collect every quarter the informations from your qualified desktop, from your server, from your database server, and you can always say, well, I have a license record, Oracle DB 10, and you have a server CPU license there, which is a full license. You have used it for Linux. You have used 20 of it. It's for machine A, B, C, and so on. And nobody says that it isn't relevant there. So, and with that entitlement, you have a change history together there. So even when you now change that initially information, you can see when it has changed. And this gives you the overview when you do your license management reporting to say, we are now using less, and therefore we want to buy less information. So from there, you have a single point of information. That is what I want to say for the external resources. For the automated resources, we have several automated ways. So one automated way is the per installation all devices. That means we inventoried software, and all software is then used for the license record, and every software which is found consumes a license. Then we have that OEM. This is here always the whole information from ZENworks is used. Always when I have a per assignment, I need to assign a device a user. So I have to do something manually, additionally. And the OEM license would say a covered device. So I need to assign a device with an OEM. And whether the OEM product is installed or not, it collects one license. Yeah. The per machine assignment means I have my discovered products and the assigned machines that are used for that license product would count as a license when it's found on the machine. And if you have two different versions of a machine, two different versions of a software on a machine, they would be collected as two products and would take two licenses. Therefore, we then added a machine assignment with multiple versions. So if ZENworks then finds two different versions of software like Firefox 91 and Firefox 78, then it's because it's from the same manufacturer, it's multiple version, it will only count as one. And that's something which the documentation tells and which I've also added to the PDF. When you create a license record, then you see here in the license record, we did that automated inventory way. So we have the discovered product Adobe Acrobat Reader, license type full. We have 8 installed. And because we are using a per machine multi-version, we found we have 10. We have bought 10 license of Firefox, but we only consume 8 of them. Therefore, we are over with 2 versions. Yeah? That's what here this record is saying. And while this is a license record and an entitlement which needs a covering, it's not the installation. I covered that license record with all machines that are based in the servers and in the workstation containers. So it could be similar to the full installation. Yeah? So if I dig deeper into it, that's here what I do, then you would see it there. All workstations directly included. Then there are 2 license model per user. Single license and per user and per name user. This is similar to the installation one. So it takes all users ZENworks knows and try to match them as a license. If a user has 2 installations installed on 2 different machines with his username, then 1 license is taken. Per named user means you need to choose the users which are used for that license model or for that entitlement. Yeah. So, and from where does the username come from? So in the asset management, there's a user source, and there you can use the inventory data source. So that's collected from the inventory, or we use the authoritative user data source. That's in the case the same data source that I used for demographics. And that data source now, when I try to get license records matched, it needs or it resolves the user to the user to the directory user by the primary user. So the logged on user on the machine will be mapped to the primary user. And if no primary user is, for example, on the machine found, then we have an unresolved license entitlement, and we need to resolve it. And we'll see later what that means. So what is very important later, if you work with asset management and you use license record based on users or named users, you need to have your mapping of your primary user well, or you need to have the mapping, or you need to have the inventory user data with entered users correctly maintained. Otherwise, you're stuck with a lot of unresolved records. What does that mean? When we look here, I have a compliance and license entitlement per named user. And what you see here is every information is filled. You have a last name, you have a name, you have a phone number, they are in folders. And you see here, Sandra Beckwell has two installed two installed versions of Firefox ESR, but it is only one license consumed. Those 15 users are only counting as 14 because we are on user counting. Yeah, this is a quantity of installed found records, 50. But for the named user counting, only 14 are detected because those two machines are two installations from Lambda Blackwell. 15, 14, 15. And the last license method that we have is an automated one for our products like Open Enterprise Server, Bootwise ZENworks. It allows you to import license data from the server if you know the name of the administrator and so on. Okay. Much of information. Okay, the compliance process. So we recently talked about the proof of authorization, or we talked about purchasing data. And together with purchasing data, we also can enter contracts into ZENworks. If you are purchasing data, and if you get those CSV, for example, you never know if vendor A or distributor A has the same name for your license product as vendor B. So therefore, the product catalog is the glue between different names from purchasing data and your license entitlement. On the other hand, we have that information about what we collected from the inventory. In my case here, Firefox. 17 installed Firefox from 78 and one installed Firefox with 91. This is a license view. We can do some adjustment there, but if we don't, we create a license entitlement, which with both discovered product covered, and here in that case for that per installation license. And if we have a more complex scenario, as I described before, if we have now, we bought initially, we had a 2017, I'm using the 2019 in this case for downgrade. I haven't enough upgrades, or I did too much upgrades and I have still some 2016s left. Then I use that downgrade right for that. entitlement, and I do have an upgrade license there. Then I have a different license entitlement, which are summing to my compliance report. And this is then the dashboard, which shows I'm correct licensed, under or over license. Or there are also reports in there, and here you see the information about also usage data. I have my Office Professional here, so multiple versions. I have 40 licenses as a quantity purchased. I've installed it 50 times, but I'm over licensed. So, and I'm under licensed. That is because I have some of that multiple versions left with under licensed. So there's no downgrade. There are no full licenses. Here are too much full licenses, but I have under licensed too much. But together, and that's the more important point, together with the active usage information, so about my history in my database, my company is or my users are only using 33 installations of Office. So before I think about do I need more licenses, I should go into my unused installations and look for the installations of Office to deinstall them, so to get a proper licensing. And that's again the verse that we have here together with asset management in combination with the time, with the usage. Okay, so I want to go into some records, and just to let you see some of the license I have done and described. So here's my license record part, and these are records I created. And here for my Firefox 78, we see we have a demographic allocation here. The manufacturer is my Mozilla.org, and I switch into the compliance status. I had discovered two products, 78 and 91, full license types. Quantity is 17 installed from 78, 1 installed from 91. Consumption, I can I have now nothing distracted, is currently 18 that I have. So then I go into the compliance status. Here's my license entitlement I created, and this is created per installation. Yeah? So every installation counts on my system, and therefore it counts 80 installations, and then I'm fine. 17 plus 1 is 18. When I look a little bit deeper in my consumptions, I see, okay, here are different machines. For example, the GW counts twice. We have 18 items, but we have only 17 from consumption. That's because I have, when I go to the record here, that's because I have Mozilla. So I've got Mozilla 78.8 and 78.30. Both are from 78. That's why they count as 1 and not as 2. I go back to my Mozilla Firefox into the compliance status. And now I change my entitlement. Yeah. So as I say, I don't want to count every version. I want to go or detect version. I want a detection that also I'm allowed to use the 91 with the 78 version. Therefore, I change the license model here. And you see, I don't change any I don't do any difference in the detection. I have here the two products 78 and 91 detected. And when I go now back to license product into my Firefox and my license status, I will see, oh, unresolved installation, 17 and 1. Why is that? Oh, I forgot. Installation is always covering, installation model is always covering the whole database. And if I want to also to cover that entitlement with my machines, I need to add the machines. And to make it as easy, I take both containers, server, and workstation, and I include all subfolders for the coverage. And when I now go back to my compliance status, I see that, well, here on my 91, this is also installed on the WinLDAP server, and the WinLDAP server has Mozilla 91 and 78 installed. Because I have multi-versions, they are counted as one. And therefore, my compliance here is, or my counted, my consumed licenses are only 17, and I have one license left for a new installation. Same would apply to named user. So I have, for example, here the named user compliance for Filer. So I have discovered Filer 4, and I have in 7 installations. Oliver has 2 installations on the Surface and on the OWB. Also, you can see here, these informations are missing. Not so good. So that's where demographic, for example, comes in. So then I see I have those 7 installations. Okay, I go back. I see I have 5 installations covered. I have purchased 4 versions of Filer. And I have 2 consumed unresolved installations here. Would fit 7, 5 differences 2. What does it mean? So to get a proper license record, I see here, okay, that is this machine, and this machine that are unresolved. When I go to the machine, I see, well, there's a user. I go to this machine. There's a user, so it isn't the problem there. What could be the problem then? One thing I know is, well, I need to check my entitlement coverage. I have 4 licenses consumed. This is 0 added. Users with product not installed. Is not all users installed. That's okay. So 2 licenses, Max Meyer and Neil Harrison are missing. So I'm taking the easy way. I only buy 2 licenses. I apply it, go back, and my license status is okay. Okay.
That's a great walkthrough because I had in my previous employer, it was the numbers become confusing because it's so intense on different members and device and users.
Yeah.
So that's a great walkthrough. Thank you for that.
And one thing that that is a thing that you need to know is my workstation. I have one workstation, and maybe you recognized that user. It's been 49. Yeah, this is a retired machine. It shows up in unresolved, but because I resolved everything, it's now away. So that's a little bug in our um, software that needs to addressed, but with a next release, it should be away. And everything with what you do with license is in the same way, like here. So everything what you need to know when you are working with compliance, also here resolved. So I have a commercial per user. And why is it unresolved? So what you see is if I dig here to primary user, there's no primary user. Yeah. So because the calculation goes between the primary user and the logged-in user, I need to add a primary user to the machine so that the license record knows about the assigned user. So it is here, that equal. Yeah? So to left, and the other one is, this one is also not a primary user. So same, going back. Then sometimes you need to refresh. So the refreshes happens once a day, normally night, because in big systems, it's using a lot of CPU data. So, and now I'm done. Yeah. So these are things that a license compliance manager needs to know. So a good approach to, because time is going by. In the end, I need too much time. First, well, I talked about licensed products, and what's important together also with licensing is user reports. So there are a lot of reports inside. Here, suites and components, for example. This shows here my Office Professional Plus suite, for example, which other applications are covered by the software. And it also, these reports show me about unreconciled products. For example, these are all discovered products on my system, or a lot. And that's something I need to get rid of. Therefore, I go just let me see. Yeah, let's see that software license reports. Okay. Before we start with a new system, contracts. So we did some license records. Together with license records, what's also important, the last part is the contract management. So the contract management itself are two parts, documents and contract management. The documents parts is adaptive to the contracts. That's informational part. So here you have the possibility, for example, to upload contracts. Yeah. So to have the 360-degree view of a contract. And that's something what I use, for example, if I say Chrome Enterprise. So that's a way how I get contract description into the system. Contract management itself gives me the possibility to create my own contract. Yeah? For example, I have here my contract, and it's a very open system. So creating a contract for Chrome would need, say, I do a Google Chrome contract. It's only a technical support one, name Chrome ABC. It has a cost for 100 euro and has an active status. It begins today and it ends in September. It ends in November, so it's a very short contract. I've got a renewal option here, and I got the notice of renewal end of this month. Renewal of Chrome while testing. Yeah? More, it's the kind of testing contract. Vendor, Google, and so on. So, and now I have my contract created. So I see here my contract. And if I want, I see my initial costs. There are no assignments. If I want, I can now attach my uploaded document, and I can add relations. So I can, for example, search for managed devices, or I can add filter only to search for the devices that have really Chrome installed. That's up to you. Manage device, okay, delete. So in this case, I take the assignment here, and then when I look in my financials, I got here my total cost and broken down per asset. So I can also do that for cost center departments and so on. Yeah? And the good here in the financial is the date notifications. So if I have a contract and the reapproval starts, it would also create for Chrome here, similar to the others, here a notice date. And now I'm able to add the users that should be informed when my contract is running out of time. So, and then I would get here an email, send an email notification at that date when the contract runs out of time. Weekly, a reminder that I need to do the contract of, in my case, ZENworks asset management. How do I get the email addresses? Well, that's something that's also done through asset inventory. Deep there in asset inventory, there's an email address import possibility. For example, by inventory, or then it looks into the inventory and imports all the email addresses. Or for those, I can also choose a comma-separated file. So that's a point where I'm getting those email addresses here for the date notifications. Okay, I just want, because time goes by, I think, faster than I thought. It's always faster than I thought. A good start of implementation of asset management. When you start to work with asset management, please do a full scan of all machines, because tables haven't been initialized, maybe through configuration management, where asset management hasn't been activated. But Workstations has done their inventory and not imported all the information that we need later for asset management. Therefore, we need to reset the inventory for all machines that we want to collect. And that can be done through several ways. Through a bundle where I run a ZAC command, I delete the inventory on the workstation or server itself, or I do this quick task. But one of that three has to be done to get correct data for asset management. If you find workstations that hasn't been imported the data, ZENworks asset management and inventory management are sequencing the inventory. So do a full inventory scan, which you should have done, yeah, but be aware. Then when you start asset management, first think about it. Which vendors I want to manage. If you then decided for that vendors, hide everything from ZENworks, because ZENworks is discovering a lot of informations. And mostly 90% of all the information that ZENworks is inventorying and showing as discovered products are not important for your asset management. Yeah, and then reconcile. What I mean is, if we go back to my information, so I used also the inventory only scanner. What we see is I have still 1,256 items in my discovery. And if I check for every application that I have here, because the scan of a Linux machine would create a license a discovery product, because there's no harmonization there. When you have Linux or appliances in your environment, deactivate everything. So what you need to do is go here to platform, Unix, Linux, Macintosh, and exclude everything what you have. So in my case, exclude. I exclude everything here. It means I want to have that 1,000. Exclude. Exclude everything.
Oliver, feel free to move through this. We can probably hang on for another 10-15 minutes if you need to complete something here. So don't rush.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, as I said, Paul, it's always taking too much time. So
Oh, it's such a
there are
big
so many.
product. Yeah.
Yeah. So done with that. Then same for Macintosh. I'm not interested in the Turbo client, but I haven't so many Macintosh clients here or informations. So then we go back to Windows. So I, for myself, decided to, well, I only want to have licensed products that's only license. I only want to have them here. So, and in that case, for example, I know that, what do we have here? Code system DC is uninteresting. So Igor Pavlov is uninteresting. These are often applications that are counted here or that are listed here that are created by an art record, yeah, as you can see here. Therefore, ZENworks can't filter them out. So I have to do it again. So code system, install sheet, I don't need it. Casa, I don't need it. That's ZENworks, I cover different. I want to have filer. Deployment toolkit, Edge is not interesting. OneDrive is covered by Microsoft. Visual Basic, not interesting. Spice is not interesting. These are also detected applications from the Microsoft server. This will be covered next PRU and displayed correct from a Windows 2017. NetIQ, I'm not interested. CCC helper, I'm not interested. Skype, I'm not interested. Edge update, I'm not interested. That's my own product. VMware, I'm not interested. VMware curl, I'm not interested in. Okay, action, I exclude them. Oh, there was one with license entitlement. Okay, to be fair, normally you would say delete everything here. That's a new, then it's a new machine, delete everything here. Catalog product, delete everything here. So that's something which normally would be a good starter with ZENworks. So and now I'm down from 2,000 products to 29 products. So and there are some additional things. And there's a dashboard in the beginning here you may recognize. So this dashboard says no catalog product here, unreconciled product. I have discovered 29 products that I need to create licenses from. There are this excluded ones I don't care about, but nothing done so. Okay, I'm now down by 29, what I said. Asset management, license management, discovered product. Then what I said before is I've got here Adobe DC 21 and 64-bit. So that's the point on where does it come. I've got, for example, you see on every machines 2 times. So if I go on the WinLDAP server, for example, into my inventory, I see here Adobe DC and the other one. We talked about that. And what I now need to do is to reconcile both products. And reconciliation always goes through the point that I take my software that I have detected by the fingerprint and I reconcile it with the RRP product. So here, you see, here's the RRP product. It matches with that 64-bit version, but not with the other one. And I want to have only one of that. So what I do is I take the detected one, action, yeah, that's, I need to refresh compliance status. And if I've done some, you are only able to reconcile if there's no configuration on the product. So I had a standard category there. So I altered the configuration, and then I'm not able to reconcile. So before you do anything, reconcile. So in that case, I reconcile both Adobe products to one product. I refresh the reconciliation, and I have only one product left. And that's something which you also need maybe to do, yeah, if you want to get rid of too much application. So you also see here, for example, Office Professional Plus and Office Professional DE. This is the ARP product. And I want to get it together as one record with my Professional Plus there. Then I first need to eliminate the configuration there. So I take my Office Professional Plus, reconcile it, with my Office, and then there is only one Office Professional left. Also, when I refresh here. So, and now I want to get rid more of information. I'm not interested in this and this. Leave also free software. Don't need that and that currently. I only want to have these products left. VMware I can also exclude. So one which I need also to reconcile is here Notepad++ and Notepad. Again, first I need to clean it up. Don't know. Wrong. Reconcile. And refresh compliance. So, and now I'm done with the products I want to reconcile. How do I start reconciliation? And not reconciliation. How do I now create my license inventory? So in the back, I have also some management reports which I would use, which I would schedule, and which I would run. These are the ones that are currently new products for me and that I need to create. So FlySpeed, Adobe Reader, Notepad, and so on. These are the products which I need to work for. Or on the other hand, there's this record here. This is more handy if I'm working here. I see the ones I've also seen in the last list. So now I start with my management or with my record creation. License product, new, discovered product is active speed query. It's software flight speed SQL query. It's a per installation and it's a new catalog product that because I haven't one license per package quantity is one. Looks good. Second one is Notepad. I take Notepad++. It's a per machine license. I let the catalog product create automatically, and I purchase some 17. Not enough. I see here I'm over licensed, and what I see is I'm unresolved. That means I forgot, or that license doesn't covers the information about which machine are assigned. So that's because I need to include here my covered machines. Go back here to that view, or I can also have a second one, that is this view, but I'm over licensed, I know, by 2. But if I go into Notepad, into the compliance status, I see consumption here. So, so play around a little bit with that. But sometimes it's better also to include, and I call it, well, that's something I also added here in the demonstration, is what you should do is get used by catalog products first in the end, then use a wizard, and then create more products by hand, initialize allocation, and then start with sorting. What I mean is, why approach like that is a point when you look here into the system and under license management, you have here the informations created about the software, but in the purchase details, there's no way to enter price. In this case, for the software, it's okay. But if you have the possibility and you know about prices, then it's better to say, well, I have a purchase record, and I take my purchase record that I have initially prepared. So I've got all my informations here about the software that I bought in the past. And now open those information and I import them into ZENworks Configuration Management. I see it worked without a problem. So now I get the purchase record here with several products I bought. For example, here a license for Filer with prices. And together with that, I also get catalog products, yeah, that are connected to the imports. So, and when I now go from here to say, well, I need now to cover the license record about Filer, I go to my asset management license product report, and I can still use the easy approach to say, well, here's a filer. It's Micro Focus filer, the entitlement per installation. I use the information from my filer license, go into here, and well, you see I have one license imported per installation, and I'm under 6. I need to buy more licenses. That's a thing that I can do by hand, or if I had entered the right information, I can do that. Then I go to purchase records and say purchase record. And still, because the information is linked, oh, we're under, yes, that's why we have a per installation. So I need to change uh, the licensing. And oh, because I used per named, I should use per user. I'm also fine here. And if you are more experienced, then you can start here to say, I have a licensed product, Microsoft Office Professional Plus version 2019. That is our inventoried one. I define additional properties. I create my entitlement per machine. It's a license with maintenance. My proof of ownership is my imported catalog product. The coverage is, so that's where (2019). And yes, I still need to, because it's a machine one, I forgot to cover the information. Then I'm done. Well, I think that should be almost the things I wanted to talk about. I just forgot one thing that is here, the demographic allocations. A good thing when you work with that, because it allocates automatically your devices with the inventory. What is that? I think I'm too fast. I need first to refresh the compliance status. So that is okay. Office, that is okay. License allocations. So two possibilities. There's no allocation currently here. I checked it by doing there. Theming and inline allocations, inventory. And now it's working. So now I have also the allocation. So if you have, if you later purchase more licenses, then while I configured here the update license with demographic data from purchase record, an import license record would also show up here and would add there on the license. So I see that empty here because the locations wasn't imported there from the user. It's something I need to do. But well, I think that should be the end then. Okay. Some of the things I thought you will see a bit deeper in the document that you were able to download, because everything with the demographic data and mapping for users is based in my configuration on authorized user data. And you may come in your configuration that you see users called ACME user, standard user, or so on. The point is, when ZENworks inventory imports a user into the system, it takes the login user. But when the user isn't logged into the system, it cannot use the logged in user because he isn't logged in. Therefore, it takes the registered name, the registered owner from the Windows machine, which is maybe a standard user, which is used, which was set by a common name during your unintended installation. Yeah, and therefore the ACME user that shows up there is also shown here. So therefore, I recommend if you are working with the inventory data, look that the collection data form is setting up the enter user here, so that the entered user is existing. If we are working with an LDAP resource, the primary user needs to map the login user, and always to get the login user into the system. One thing which I did for my configuration is I built up a bundle that set registered owner. That is launched during every start of the machine and maps the username to the Windows name. So not optimal. It should be done a little bit cleverer, but I hadn't time to do it. But that's the way how, if you haven't personalized your Windows registered user, it's a way how to get the personalized Windows registered user into your system. And then you can also, you haven't any problems with wrong users here for your license records. Okay. By the way, I also added this. If you don't want to have ARP informations collected, you can disable it. Configuration of email. Don't forget, if you're using reporting server, update the domain for reporting server. And then I hope we're done.
Wow, that's a huge product, and I can't believe you did it in 2 hours.
I do not believe it too.
Well, this is going to be a great PDF, so it'll be in the comments down below after the recording is done. I appreciate everybody hanging on the extra 20 minutes. And Oliver, I appreciate you for the vast knowledge you have in ZENworks. You gave us a great, thorough look and step through each one of those process, inventory, license, compliance, and then how to set it all up intricately. So we really want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
So,
it was a pleasure.
Okay, great. Well, and Oliver, thank you so much. If there are any questions, I don't have any questions in chat, but if there are any questions in the comments, please put them in and we'll get back to you on those. And check the recording in about an hour and we'll have that link to his presentation so you have some more details. Thank you, Oliver, so much. You have a great afternoon or evening. It's your evening. And I appreciate your time.
Evening. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So, I think it was well worth going a little bit over here today. I appreciate everybody being here. Again, you can download my presentation, which has the extra links to it as far as details on what's coming up. And then Oliver's will be in the comments as we go forward. I appreciate everybody here. Had enough of your time. Thank you, and you guys have a great day. Take care.